No worries, no worries. Well, so nice to meet everyone. I am hailing from Colorado by way of Jamaica, West Indies. So I'm thrilled to be here. I have an interesting background. My background is in urban planning and architecture and leadership development. And I've combined those two along with real estate and bringing all of those together, making me a unique, interesting bag of goods, which is really what brings me to you today. I've been in the industry for 25 years from different perspectives on the real estate development side, from the brokerage side, and as an investor, and transitioned all of that into being a trainer in the industry, serving on the board of realtors in Colorado, working with a lot of associations in real estate, primarily on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I knew that the time would come where I would need to pivot. And so that's where we are now, is pivoting from that moment of using opportunities to create growth in real estate and connecting with our clients and with each other in the industry to be able to generate revenue through strategic partnerships. So some of the programming that I've done has included training for sales, specifically leadership, and then even coaching for speaking. And so I've combined all of those to be able to make us stronger in this industry. And during these times where sales may not be as frequent or more challenging, there are more opportunities to connect with each other in the industry, but more so with our clients and people who you may not have seen as clients before, to create revenue for yourself. So if you're not bringing in all the same transactions that you were in the past, this day is going to be an opportunity for you to rethink yourself as a real estate professional and how you can create revenue during the downturn and also get closer with your clients moving forward. So with that, I'm going to jump into our presentation. Kevin, is there anything else we need to add here?
You're doing great, and love Jamaica.
All right, perfect. All right, give me a second here. I'm going to turn off my ringer because I realized that it was not off a while ago, and it rings like all real estate professionals. It's always ringing, so I'm going to turn that off. All righty. And then I'm going to share my screen here. Give me 1 second here. Can you all see? Yep. All right. All right, perfect. So as I mentioned before, I've turned my real estate career into more of a strategist, and that started a little bit with my speaking background, working together with some other people in the industry. And I did a TED Talk a while ago, which actually turned out not to be what I thought it would be, because a lot of things changed in the industry, my mindset changed. And with that, I recognized there's an opportunity to use my voice to help bring me closer to my clients. And so I've been doing events ever since then. And I'm going to share with you all about the benefit of doing that same thing. Kevin, it's not advancing.
That's completely on your end, unfortunately.
Can you see that there? All right, perfect. So, the places we grow. So I titled that because there's so many opportunities to grow in this industry with our clients. And a lot of times we're thinking in the sense of transactions and not transformations with our clients, with those relationships. And so in doing that, we've been able to use this industry to be interpreters of what can be done for the clients in terms of their net worth. But then as an agent, you have the need to also have income coming in consistently, so that you're increasing your net worth and your net worth as well at the same time. And some of the ways that I found to do that is just to really connect and connecting with each other through compassion and not through commissions only. And those commissions will come and go, but your compassion can continue to grow. And as it continues to grow, that's where your clients look to you as a partner, as a strategic partner, as opposed to simply just a client. And because of who you are and who they are, you have an opportunity to grow together year by year in terms of the revenue and the equity in their property and the ability for you to have appreciation with you. So I mentioned my background is in architecture and urban planning. I recognize that environmental design is a lot of what's happening in real estate. And so I've been using that as an opportunity. And I'm second generation in the architecture world, but architecture is real estate and real estate is architecture. And so Right now, there's so much change. There's a lot of fatigue right now. And by 2050, we'll be exhausted if we continue at just simply doing transactions. So finding revenue within your own industry is a unique opportunity that you can create your own. I happen to use my voice as my instrument as another way that I can help my clients. But if you think about some of the passions that you have, whatever that may be, whether it's in a hobby that you do or simply traveling, you can use that as a way to connect with your clients and make that your niche and become an agent in the industry where you're niched for that industry. So if you'll just throw in the chat real quickly, if you have a hobby or a side profession or even a side gig that you've done in addition to real estate or industry that you came from, if you put it in the chat, we'll talk a little bit about how you can use that and transform that into a way for you to create a niche to have revenue for your clients to see you as a specialist in that area. So if you think about your sphere of influence and who is around you, who is it that you connect with outside of just your clients themselves, the transactions that you've done, and how can you use that sphere of influence to continue to educate them on real estate. One of the ways in which I've done that, and I've helped study up several of my clients do so, is by doing workshops. As much as you may love or not love speaking, people see education as an opportunity to grow, hence the reason why we're all here today. And by conducting workshops in a topic that is something related to real estate, it doesn't have to be necessarily on equity and appreciation in the property itself, but it could be on neighborhood and what's happening in the neighborhood and connecting with economic development through the city agencies, through the planning departments, and finding out what's going on in your neighborhood and being the person who's bringing that information. One of the ways that you can do that is by hosting events within a neighborhood or in a niched area, as opposed to simply farming and sending out just listed, just sold postcards, hosting an event that's not just all about entertainment, but bringing people together to simply ask questions. And the easiest way to get off the hook is to put together a forum where you're allowing people in the neighborhood to ask questions about what they're curious about, what's happening in the neighborhood, whether there's development in the neighborhood, whether there is housing changes in the neighborhood, whether there are sales in the neighborhood. And as they're asking questions and you're showing your expertise from the standpoint of what you know in the neighborhood, whether it's the values, whether it's the turnover, days on market, people start to see you as a resource. And through that, you can conduct these workshops where whether you choose to do a price for having them come to it, it's best that you start with a free workshop. And then from the information that you gather, you can customize those workshops based on the information that's coming in that neighborhood. And then allow yourself to get closer to the individuals that you don't know, and also with the clients that you already have. So you know what you can do with that information. And whether it's a $25 charge or a $10 charge, where you're having people come and learning more about the real estate industry, they start to value you as a professional. By engaging with your clients, you'll start to see that they will call you with more questions, not just when they're ready to sell or not when they're in trouble, simply to have information that they can use so they can decide what they're going to do with their property short term or long term, whether that's turning it into an Airbnb, whether that's giving it to somebody in the next generation, whatever it is, they're calling you as opposed to you calling them. Oftentimes, we're told to door knock, you're even asked to pick up the phone and call to see how people are doing, but people can tell whether you're being authentic or not. So, doing things differently with a glass half full approach is the way that you want people to see you, because people can tell when you call to say, do you know anybody that's thinking of selling or buying real estate? It's a dead giveaway that you're only interested in you making a commission. Compassion comes through when you're talking about what's happening in the industry in generalities, but then you're customizing it specifically to themselves. So I live in a neighborhood that is known for being a multidisciplinary neighborhood in the sense that we have different income levels. It was designed as an urban planned neighborhood. And in my urban planning years, 30 years ago, I was part of the neighborhood development, and they wanted to ensure that we had different price points. So we have restricted homes, restricted income, which would be considered low income in previous times, but now it's restricted income, where it is people who are firefighters, public servants, people whose income is a little bit below the median income, but they're still able to purchase a home through programs that are there, all the way up to $3 million homes. all within the same neighborhood, within the same different blocks. We have multiple parks, we have multiple pools, but there was a controversy in the neighborhood that was changing the name of the neighborhood. And they're changing the name of the neighborhood because of historical reference to somebody who there was a namesake for. And to do that, there became a lot of drama. And I decided, how can I bring people together so that we're talking about the soul of the neighborhood and not what's going wrong with it? So I put together a picnic, which also was as a result of creating a community group. So that community group has grown from what started with 10 people to over 200 families now, where I host events throughout the year for usually on occasions like 4th of July or Memorial Day. Sometimes it's just a pop-up event where it's card games or people are just getting to know each other and barbecue. And through that, very rarely do I talk about being a realtor. That being said, around those tables are information about real estate, and I have information about being a realtor. People started to associate with me being in the community, not just as a realtor. And over time, as I continued to do marketing and do PR opportunities talking about real estate, they put the two and two together. So the compassion came first and the commissions came second because people started to see what we're doing in the neighborhood. So I've hosted events, and when I host these events, I leverage PR. So here's where you have an opportunity again to generate revenue through strategic partnerships. By doing PR opportunities where you're not paying for advertisement, where you're talking about what's happening in the neighborhood as a neighborhood expert. And again, this is in lieu of doing farming. The press will come to you by you putting out a public relations campaign in the form of information that people want to know what's happening in the neighborhood. And then press will start to pick up what's going on in the neighborhood and they will actually come to your events. And so they're talking about the event and what's happening in the neighborhood. And through that, it's become the first question they'll ask is, what is your relationship? And if you're a realtor, real estate professional, you're talking about the neighborhood from the point of real estate. But instead of you advertising yourself as a realtor, now you're being spoken about in terms of having your niche in this particular neighborhood. And so as you continue to host events, you have the opportunity to bring in sponsors. I brought in mortgage brokers, I brought in title reps. Title reps have a little different relationship now, but there is an opportunity for them to sponsor your events so that they are helping you with the expenses of it. But again, you are connecting one-on-one with your clients, not in a client event, but an event that you're doing and for the entire neighborhood. So some of the activities that we've done, we've gone on hiking trips together, we've done barbecues together, we've done pool parties together. Again, never do I put in front of their face, realtor, realtor, realtor. It's just about bringing the community together. So in this case, we talked about here grows the neighborhood, which is the phrase that we use in the neighborhood to talk about this group. People will remember how you treated them, and that's really important to understand that each one of these people will eventually look to you not only as an expert, but as a neighbor, as a friend, if it's a neighborhood that you live in. You can do this in a community that is not your neighborhood, where you're just bringing that community together. For example, it might be in a price point that is different from what you currently are in. And you might want to go to a higher price point, a lower price point, but you want to farm that neighborhood differently than simply just, like I said, just sold, just listed. Instead, you're put together as the group organized in the neighborhood. That's where you have an opportunity to really develop those relationships. So it's really about shifting your mindset. Where you can leverage AI is as you're talking to your clients at these events or you're following up and you're gathering information, as you learn what is going on in their lives, you can use AI to really create high value opportunities with your clients and customize your conversation based on what they're sharing with you. You can deepen these relationships by following them on social media, looking at activities that they've done, attending events that they do in their personal and professional lives, learning more about them, and using AI to become more of an expert. So you're not just coldly calling and saying, "How are you today?" You're talking specifically about what they're doing and using these AI tools to help create a narrative for you to have a conversation with them. Using this as your sales strategy to optimize your relationship with them. And then, as you always know, they're going to ask you about, so what's going on in the market right now? What's happening with interest rates? Being able to be on the spot You don't have to wait for a mortgage lender to bring you information about interest rates, although we all know they like to call us on Mondays to let us know what the interest rates are, and they flood us with information. Use that information to become the expert on what's happening in the market, and then use AI to get specific information for that neighborhood to the day, not waiting for the month statistics to come out or the quarterly statistics, but everything that's happening in the neighborhood that you can use AI based on your zip code or those blocks. You can have more informed information so you become the expert. The same information can be used when you're partnering with city agencies, for example, for partnerships to understand what's happening in economic development, where you are now attending those events as a realtor. Far too many times, there are committees that are at the city level and planning department where they're talking about what's happening in the neighborhoods currently and in the future. And it's very rare that realtors are at the table serving on these committees. By you sitting at the table there, you have an opportunity to be yet again an expert on what's happening and being the eyes and ears. And when you're hosting workshops in your neighborhood or you're hosting a workshop at a holiday event, you're providing information that is relevant, where your value add is about what's happening not only in the economy for your state, your neighborhood, but what is happening in the future. So again, people are looking to you as an ability to gather that information. You can work with the city in different capacities, whether you're charging them in a consulting capacity where you become the realtor liaison, or if you're simply working with them to become a partner. As a strategic partner, you'll be surprised how many times people who are working with you on the committee will now see you as their realtor because you have information. So again, this is hidden revenue that is there where you are serving and you are giving. And usually, as a result, as you give, you're getting back something in return where you're paying it forward in a sense that at some point, someone will say, by the way, are you familiar with my neighborhood? What are the statistics going on? What are the sales happening? And there's hidden opportunities there for you to gain new clients there and having more revenue. The public relations that I made reference to is as you're starting to do more and more in the industry beyond just selling, by putting out press releases about what you're doing will give you an opportunity to get free advertisement in the form of public relations where you're serving information. And I have seen this happen time after time again. I started looking at public relations as an additional revenue income stream accidentally because I started to get phone calls for people asking me to write an editorial or featured in a certain section related to real estate. And then I started realizing that I could actually put out a press release that is education related to real estate, providing information, and then magazines, would call and ask for more information. I did a centerfold, and I say that jokingly because they asked me to provide an article. Little did I know that they were going to put it in the center, and it was all about the real estate market. And somewhere in the fine print there, it said that I was a realtor, but then it also, they put in the website and all this information that I didn't ask them to do. But in essence, it became a sense of public relations and advertisement without being paid advertisement. And it came from a place of serving as opposed from just getting that information in. So over the years, quarterly, I make sure that I send out information in the form of a press release that oftentimes people will pick it up. And that's included doing news interviews, serving in a capacity where you're providing information. And now the radio stations and the television stations call and ask, can you do an interview with me about such and such? And so I become the go-to because of that. It happens so quickly. If you start looking at what's happening on the news as they're talking about real estate and you write information about it or share that information with them, they will start coming to you. Again, revenue opportunities are showing up here because they are now seeing you as the expert in your neighborhood, in your area. So you are being proactive by creating these press releases. And again, you can use AI, put in the topic, put in price point, put in anything that you want that's related to real estate. Ask AI to put together a customized press release for you, and then you send it out. And the important part here is to be consistent about it, consistently sending information out so that you're showing up time after time. This was one of the publications that picked up information. Realtors use this particular publication, and it's I would say on average $1,500 to $500 that realtors pay for ad space. This was what an article that they did, and they called at the time it was called the Renaissance Realtor. And I was talking about this historic neighborhood and the changes that were happening in the neighborhood. This article came out one year, and then the next year they said, what's happening now? And they asked to do a follow-up article. Again, free advertisement, and they are the ones that called me the resident Renaissance Realtor. I didn't even know what that meant at the time, but that became a sticking point for the neighborhood. And so I started recognizing that I could do the same thing in other neighborhoods and with other publications without, again, having to spend money. And you can imagine the spinoff that came from this neighborhood, because I was talking about the history of this neighborhood. I was talking about multi-generational opportunities to earn income, and people started calling, asking, can you tell me what my house is worth? As opposed to me calling them and saying, let me tell you what your house is worth. The whole goal here is to start getting inbound calls as opposed to you always doing outbound calls. So this kind of ballooned into several different opportunities. Like I said, for me, speaking is my hobby. For you, it may be doing an event. You might be on the tennis team or you hosting an event, but I'm always talking about real estate everywhere I go, whether it was TEDx, whether it was doing seminars, whether it was doing workshops. And over time, other people are deciding what your value is in the neighborhood. Now, we all know that in every city, you can become a five-star realtor, but in most cases, in most real estate boards, you're paying for that. And you're paying to be the five-star realtor. You're paying to be number one in A, B, or C publication. The best opportunities when somebody reaches out to you and they're ranking you based on your service to the community, not just as a realtor. So coming from a different mindset makes a huge difference and a different perspective. So I started working with the community versus ADA, specifically compliance to people being able to have access to their homes and working with different people of different abilities, helping them look at real estate differently. That started off as an editorial and a conversation, and it turned into me working specifically with a disability organization, talking to them about what is it like when a realtor decides to take somebody out to showings who is differently abled. As a result of that, many more conversations happened and more people started asking questions, and I became educated because there were a lot of things that I didn't know about being differently able when it came to looking for home. How do I pick somebody up in a car? Do they follow me? How do I help them get into a property? Do I even need to help them? Am I making assumptions about what they want in a home? What are some of the things that they're looking for in that neighborhood in terms of the sidewalks, their access to parking? All of these things are opportunities for you to become an expert and niched in a different part of the industry that you may not have been thinking about. Again, it was through service. And as a result of it, I've developed this partnership where I have now am reading more information. And so I periodically go into AI and find out what is happening in differently abled opportunities for people to purchase real estate. In some cases, it might be even reading a contract with Braille. It may be even with voice information regarding working with the MLS. Through all of this educational, I ended up doing workshops on differently able for people who are purchasing real estate, who are selling, in terms of how do you convert your property. If you have a home and you, for example, are in a wheelchair and everything in the home is designed that way, how can you bring in a contractor to make it easier for when the next purchaser purchases that property so they can customize it for themselves and it not be a burden, but instead you are becoming an asset for providing them resources is how to make that conversion from selling the home or when you're helping someone purchase a home. So some of the programming that I'm talking about, I've worked with clients in two different ways. I've worked with clients working in the real estate industry, one-on-one with strategic partners, for example, the Chamber of Commerce, and giving them information about real estate. I've also done retreats where I'm working with people and I'm charging them a fee for working on developing a retreat about information. All of us know our industries inside and out. You can create these retreats yourself by simply doing a webinar like we're doing here, and I will help you by coaching you and putting that together. And then you can bring in special guests, like I mentioned when I was talking about ADA and disability. bringing in a guest so that they can talk to a specific group of people so that they're learning more about the industry. So I'll work with you to develop those programs, and we'll use the resources that are specific to your clientele, neighborhoods, or industries that are aligned to us, whether it's the title industry, mortgage industry, where we're putting together a program that allows them to be able to tap in, and then you're creating a revenue income stream for yourself. But more importantly, you're providing information for people that is absolutely invaluable, that they can use for themselves so that they can see their real estate as something that they can leverage. There's other opportunities to work together with you individually. So I do a retreat here in Colorado and have another one that's being put together in Jamaica, where I take agents and help them understand how do you create revenue outside of your real estate industry and your real estate income, so that you're resetting your mind and you're understanding that our rest is important, but our clients are also experiencing fatigue as well. So what can we do to get that back and get your groove back? And literally, and I'll share this example, is I want to retreat myself outside of this industry. Last year, I ended up going to 4 different countries on different retreats, as well as doing real estate and meeting up with other agents in other markets. So that included Bali and Philippines. I end up creating referral programs with them so that I can do referrals with people who are going to Philippines. I came back, I started talking to the Filipino Society and finding about, is anybody going to the Philippines, and letting them know that I now have a realtor in the Philippines that I can connect them with. As a result of that, a referral came out of it, and there was a referral fee. So while I couldn't sell real estate in Philippines, I was able to create that connection through the Philippine Society. And as a result of that, that was unexpected income, which has now turned into part of my strategy. Is every place that you go on vacation, you have an opportunity to do that. So the retreat that I hold is for you to come up with different ideas based on the people in your sphere so that you can learn how to create retreats yourself, and it becomes a destination where you're going with your clients or you're creating programs for people. And I'll help you design all of that so that you're not just doing it out of nowhere, but specifically based on what has worked for me in the past for doing referral business, so that you're growing your business in a global way. So there is revenue all over this planet, all over the world, where you go to vacation, where your roots are from. There's opportunity to create referral business. People often think of referral business in your market, but there's so much more that you can talk about. Part of how this conversation happened with myself and Kevin was I was presenting at a conference and was talking with somebody there who was talking about Kevin and I was going to be coming to Miami, and we started talking about ways that we can do educational programming together. So as a result of that, this is how we are here today. I say that is closed mouths don't get fed. This is what I used to thought was a Jamaican term that my mom told me. It turns out everybody says that all over the world. And it truly is. If you're not talking about what you're doing in this industry, you don't know what opportunities exist. And these opportunities show up in many different ways. So as we continue to have these relationships growing, shoot me a text message with your information, and I'll continue to talk to you about ways that we can customize experiences for you. We have some handouts I have information that will show you specific revenue strategies that you can do during the downturn that aren't necessarily things that you would normally think of, but opportunities for you to customize revenue everywhere you turn, whether it's your children's classroom, whether it's a retirement home. People are always talking about real estate. And when they're not talking about real estate, you can talk about it in an authentic way. Every place that we are in is literally brick and mortar, is real estate. The opportunity to grow there is remarkable when you're having conversations differently, even when it's talking about commercial real estate. I happen to have a background in commercial real estate and residential real estate, and I started recognizing that I could partner with commercial agents to be able to have conversations that are deeper than just talking about a home. And they started referring business to me that was related to residential clients and vice versa. And in some cases, we work on projects together. So shoot me a text if you're interested in learning more about how we can customize programming for yourself so you can create more revenue. And then I'm going to open up the floor to answer questions and just do some what I call in the seat coaching on questions that you have and how you can develop some specific ways to reach your clients in a unique way that doesn't feel a little sleazy. We're just talking about, do you know anybody who's thinking of buying or selling real estate? So I'm going to close out my presentation here. Stop sharing. Have I stopped sharing there, Kevin? Can you? All right. I lost you all.
No, you're on the full screen. You're great.
I can't see you all, but there we go. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to open it up to some questions and then just do some what I call not fire set coaching, but we're hot seat coaching, where we're just talking about an example of a neighborhood that you may be working with, a client that might be struggling with something, or even a client that you recently had that you're working with, and all of a sudden they said, I'm not interested right now, interest rates are too high, so that you can have conversations with them. So you're just like, well, I guess I'll just wait till they're ready to sell, giving you some ways that you have more dialogue so that you're still talking to them during the time that they're thinking. Darnell, did I say it not correctly?
Yeah, perfect. Hi, Lori. How are
Hi,
you?
how are you? Nice to meet you.
I'm great. Thanks for asking. Sorry, I'm real casual today. I'm working from home, but thank you for taking the time to share all this information with us today. My
Absolutely.
question is a little slightly off topic. I'm kind of on topic. I saw your revenue retreat in Jamaica, and that sounds incredible. So I'm gonna text you. I'd love to know more about that.
Perfect. So part of the revenue retreat, and I'll share with you, it's twofold. I'm part of a project in Jamaica that's real estate related. And so it's not going to be fully developed until 2028. And so there's a lot of time before then. So what I recognize is many of you may know someone that is thinking of buying a property that's a vacation rental or another property outside the country. I recognize that there's this huge opportunity being here in the United States to work with other realtors who right now your client might not be interested in selling their home, but they may be looking for additional revenue income stream. And so part of the reason of doing the retreat in Jamaica is to share about the real estate industry in Jamaica so people have a sense of what's happening there, so that you can also now be referring contact information about real estate in Jamaica. So then again, you have another referral partnership opportunity. So while you may not be able to sell there, you have someone there. And I from Jamaica originally, like I mentioned before. So there's ways for you to be able to say to your clients, have you ever thought of buying real estate in Jamaica? And I can help you in creating those connections. But truth be told, you can do that anywhere you go on vacation. Start everywhere you're going, start introducing yourself to a real estate brokerage. Every vacation I go on to, I find a brokerage, I pop in, introduce myself face to face and say, I'm in Denver. If you have anyone who's thinking of buying a property in Denver, whether it's in the ski resorts or whether it's in the city, let me know. I'm here for you. Ask any questions. And a couple times a year, somebody will come in town and call and say, hi, Lori, I got your card. We met at such and such event. I happen to be in Denver. I have a client who's going to Denver. Can you show them around where they're in town? And next thing you know, we're closing a transaction. So again, very organic, very authentic, but everywhere you go, there's an opportunity to create referral revenue. So Darnell, hopefully we'll see you there in Jamaica.
I hope so. I love traveling, especially when I can write it off and get some referral partners out of it. That's kind of been my business model for the last 5 years,
Yes.
is traveling and building a nationwide and now worldwide referral network.
Wonderful. And as we all know, if you are strategic in this business, there's really nothing you can't write off now. You know, the disclaimer, I'm not a real estate tax advisor, but just about all the work that we do is real estate related. And so there is a way to be able to use that to your advantage and be able to also create an opportunity to extend more income that's coming in. So while oftentimes people think of the income that they've lost, just through real estate strategies on taxes alone can increase your revenue. Again, it's hidden revenue that you didn't realize was there. And again, use your vacations to also look for ways that you can educate people about real estate in your market. And so you can learn about the real estate in those markets as well, because you would be surprised when you're on an excursion and you see a for sale on the side of the road or what have you, you call that agent and learn about that property. Next thing you know, you're talking to somebody when you come home about this property that you saw that was really amazing, was on the beach, and your client says, oh my goodness, I've always been looking for a property at such and such place. And now you have a new relationship with somebody in that particular market as well. I'm going to go to, I just saw another hand pop up and it just disappeared.
So there were two questions. One's about the slides, and you said you'll be sending me the slides to send,
Yes.
because I send, so when I send the to everyone who signed up for this class, also include those slides. Somebody else asked for you to email them, but Diana, it's probably better that you reach out to her. Contact information will be on the very first slide of the recording, which is her email. But in case you wanted to know what her email was right now, it's Lori@loripace.com, correct?
That's correct. That's
Awesome.
correct.
Anybody else want to pop on camera to ask a question?
So I'm also going to mention an opportunity that I didn't recognize originally. So I'm obviously a speaker as well, as I'd mentioned before, but what I found out is that a lot of people, their speaking game is not on height right now. So even with listing appointments, how you do a listing presentation and how you show up as a speaker when you're talking to your clients, you can be inspiring in ways that you didn't realize. So when you're, whether it's a listing presentation or you're doing a one-on-one with your client, the way that you present makes a huge difference in terms of your self-confidence and being able to get an opportunity. It's not always just about the commission. In fact, the hope is that you're not focusing on the commission, because commissions are changing, as we know, but how you inspire your clients has a lot to do with how you say the things that you say and how you frame the conversations about what you're doing. So I didn't mention it here, but one of the other revenue opportunities that I have is by doing family workshops. So families, what I do is allow people to talk about what their concerns are with real estate, and then offer to do a workshop with their family, whether it's bringing in multiple people in their family or just their family, their natural family that's there, and talking about what's happening with not only the property, but succession planning for their property and helping them building their portfolio. So again, this is a service that you can do by talking with your clients, and you can make it a minimal fee if you want to, or you can make it a larger fee and turn it into something more later on. But you can be a consultant to your client in terms of being a real estate consultant, not solely just a realtor in the sense of I'm here to sell your house, but talking to them about information. And the best way to do that without giving them information that's going to put you in a situation where you're not accurate is that's where you create a team of people, a strategic partnership. So whether it's a trust attorney, whether it's an accountant, whether it's a financial planner, and you become the quarterback, you're the quarterback for them, and you're bringing together this team of people, and you're helping them create their long-term plan for what they're doing with their real estate assets. Because not everybody's ready to buy and sell right now, as we talked about before, but this is an opportunity to be face-to-face in their home, talking with each person in their not their company, in their household, of what it is that they want to do. Good example is I did a workshop, I called a workshop with the family. They have a daughter who is a sophomore in high school. She's going to be going to college soon. She knows exactly where she wants to go to school. And so I've put them on a drip campaign, reached out with an agent in that college town, so that I'm helping the parents and the daughter become partners, where by the time that she's a sophomore in college, they are going to be purchasing a property where she will become a landlord. And whether it's a duplex or a unit by itself, where she can do house hacking as a duplex, where she lives in one side and then renting the other, or simply if she's just in a unit and then the roommate is obviously paying the mortgage. This is a concept that people have doing for years, but as realtors, you're only thinking about the now, not the future. Again, an opportunity for you to partner with an agent in another city, or in this case, it's a college town in another city, where you're starting 4 years before this kid is even going to be a sophomore, but we're already talking about it now. And so you're providing value for the family. And so that workshop that we call it is a family meeting. Sometimes I'm fun with it and I say, okay, we're doing our annual family reunion, and we get everybody together in the family and we talk about what's happening with real estate. And you'll be surprised, those teenagers won't listen to their parents. When you start telling a teenager that you can start making money in college and not have to have a job and become a landlord and partner with your parents to the point where you can put that in a family trust, And now you have an income stream for both the kid in the family, who will soon be a young adult, and the parents, where they can tag team, and then you become the person that they go to for help. And what I always say is, if you ever get stuck with a question in regards to how do you set up that entity, working with an attorney, working with the agent who knows specifically the rules and regulations for that neighborhood, understanding the HOA, this is where you're partnering with agents in other cities long in advance, so that you now have a relationship with them, in this case 4 years before they're actually purchasing real estate. So again, you're not showing up thirsty for getting a sale today, but you're looking at the long-term opportunity of working together and talking to them. And that literally, that drip campaign, so these parents are starting to see the increase in real estate over 4 years. And obviously the best time to buy real estate is not next year, it's now. So if they're even looking at, you'd be surprised. My client called me, or a different client called me, the junior of their kid, and said, I just saw a property that went on the market. We're going to purchase it. We're going to flip it, renovate it, start earning income on it with rent during her freshman year. And then after her freshman year, when she moves into it, she'll move into the property, and they are already starting to earn income in that college town where that person is going. So now we are in year 3. She's now a junior. She's getting ready now to use the equity that was built in that property to now, when she graduates from college, use that to purchase her first home wherever she decides to work. And so we've been working together for 7 years. We've done 5 transactions together. Started off with just one personal residence, turned into a vacation rental in the mountains, turned into another vacation rental that was in our neighborhood that they turned into an Airbnb. Then their kid got a property, and then now that kid is about to buy another house. And every single one of those are been referrals and partnerships where I'm not doing all the heavy lifting. I've now worked with 5 agents as a result of this one client, where we're partnering with each other and referring business to one another. And it's long-term relationships where we're thinking about each other, because I know I'm an alma mater. My alma mater is University of Colorado Boulder. I do the same thing when I'm talking to people and I'm talking to agents. Are your clients having kids that are going to be coming to school at CU Boulder? Because if so, I can tell you about the real estate there and let you know my colleagues that sell there as well. So again, I don't come across thirsty, but I let people know that there's enough for everyone. And through the mindset of abundance instead of scarcity, there is revenue everywhere without it even being strategic in the sense of opportunist, but all in a sense of you serving and giving.
I really love that comment, because we do have universities here in South Florida, obviously,
Yes.
and you do see a lot of turnover with the real estate and universities. And taking a step further, I mean, not only do we have universities, but we also have a lot of retired communities. And I think in those
Absolutely.
areas as well, you could really find benefit in broadcasting that information, telling people, hey, come to the university, come to this retire, and to press that is really important, because you have people constantly in and out of those areas, and areas where you do see that higher turnover, you also see people with higher production. So keep that in mind. We have a question from Reynaldo Nunez, and he said, for those start business, can you tell, or do you remember the topic of your first speech talk to the community, and how big was your audience the first time?
So the first time that I did it was almost an accident. I started off with an event, and then we started talking about real estate, and we did a spin-off to a workshop. So the event, it turned out 45 people showed up, and I'm going to say 45 families. And so there were 45 families that showed up to the event. So there were lots of kids. I did learn a lesson. It was a pool party. Not everybody's comfortable meeting each other for the first time in a bathing suit, but you all are in Miami. Maybe it's a little different there. But it started off with the kids running around everywhere. And then we did a workshop from there. And then it turned into 10 families. And so those 10 families, we got together and we talked about what was happening in our neighborhood in terms of this. Our neighborhood happens to be new construction for 10 years. And that was part of the plan. So they wanted to know what the value of their property was compared to the new construction. And in our neighborhood, the new construction and the existing properties were at the same selling point. So what ended up happening, 3 transactions came out of that because they upscaled or upgraded to a bigger home. But it started off at the pool party 2 years later, that workshop turned into them following information about the new construction, and 3 of them ended up going into new construction as a result of it. But it originally just started off, well, what's going on with the new construction? Does our property still have any value? And so they leveraged the equity from that property onto the other one. Now, I'll just quickly say, I also make it a habit of going to new construction builders and letting them know that I'm here as a resource. And being as a resource to them, referrals come out of that as well, because they're talking to me about someone who's coming in and they're selling their home. Now, I am very quick to tell you that I don't necessarily do all the transactions. I often refer referrals out to someone else, but I act as the quarterback again to make sure that if I'm not an expert in a neighborhood, that I'm partnering, and sometimes that's co-listing, and sometimes it's just tag team and I'm giving them information, because people move out of my neighborhood all the time to other neighborhoods, and I look to see who is the agent that does the most in those neighborhood, and I use the MLS to track that information. I reach out to them and say, I have a client that lives in my neighborhood. They're considering moving into your neighborhood. Let me make this introduction to you so you can tell them about which block to be on, what's the best place to be. So that, again, that's just referral business. I'm not sticking in there. I'm not micromanaging. I'm literally passing it off. And your clients will appreciate that because they know you're the expert in your neighborhood. You're not necessarily the expert in the other neighborhood, although you could sell there, but it's better that you can do the referral and the introduction. And it always comes back. It comes back full circle every single time. So being a part of that transaction instead of the whole transaction, sometimes the value is even greater for your client, as opposed to you just thinking about what the commission could have been for yourself.
Awesome. Awesome. Any other questions? Lori, any friends?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So, so last, but I'm going to say this is one of the things that I learned quickly is that when I started doing these workshops, there's other things that spin off from those workshops. People wanted always say, I'm curious to know what my neighbor's house is. And so we all know with open houses, people like to take advantage of their neighbors. The first people that come to your open houses are the neighbors. Of course, they want to see what's going on. So I started a tour where I just put out a message, and it used to be on a consistent level where I would just reach out to individuals. But most recently, I came up with the idea of doing pop-up tours. And so what I did, I asked a couple of my clients, I said, if I did a pop-up tour where you're just looking at the recent listings that are in the neighborhood, would you be interested in going? And to my surprise, people are like, I absolutely would love to do that, because they're embarrassed to go into their neighbors' homes. So I haven't launched it yet, but it's fairly simple, and everyone here can do it. Is pick either it's a neighborhood that you're in already or a neighborhood that you're curious, where you just do a pop-up tour and you take people on a tour, and they can either meet you there, or if it's close enough and you have listings, say 10 on a block, if you're downtown, for example, but you're taking people on tour to look at these properties. And so you, again, become the expert, because you're not going to know everything about these properties, but you're also developing a relationship with those listing agents. But people are curious and they want to get into these properties and see what's going on and compare it to their own property. But by doing a pop-up tour, whether you do that consistently, you could do first Fridays, you could do it quarterly, you can do it annually, where you are the host and you're taking people around. And then I have, in the past, when I do these tours, is create these gift bags. And in these gift bags are information. I usually put in a granola bar, a postcard that's talking about the market stats of what's happening in the neighborhood, and then just a water bottle, just a small water. I take the labels off the water bottles themselves, and so that they just have a goodie bag, and we go on tour. And so you become the tour guy, and we just meet at the properties in a caravan, and you're showing them the property, and you just open the doors. And to be respectful to the listing agent, just reach out to them and say, I have some people in the neighborhood are going on tour. Most agents don't see it as a competitive negative where they feel that you're stepping on them, because usually the people that are going through those properties, they're going to tell their friends or family, I just saw this house that's on my block, I'd love for you to be my neighbor. Or they're asking questions about it, and if you're lucky enough, they may be interested in purchasing the property themselves, and then you're representing them as a buyer's agent. And with all the things that are changing in the industry for buyer's agent, again, instead of cold calling or just reaching out randomly to your clients, when someone is coming to you and asking you to be a buyer's agent, it completely changes the dynamics of the relationship, because they're seeking you out instead of you seeking them out. And so the goal here is for you to attract business, to attract revenue, where you're not always calling people and reaching out for business themselves, but instead reaching out to provide them with information. And so these pop-up tours are something that you can do by calling people and sending or asking them to be invited. You can use tools. A tool that I've used, and I don't know if all of you are familiar with BombBomb, but BombBomb is video email. So again, you may know this whether you have a website for your real estate business or not. In terms of Google and SEO, for you getting more traffic, it's best to have videos. On the flip side of that, if you do a video email and it's simply you just hit grow and say, "Hi, it's Lori. I haven't talked to you in a while. Wondering how things are going. The market is hot. The interest rates are 6.7. They're increasing. I don't know if you are aware of this, but there's a new home that is going on the market next week. If you're interested in checking it out, let me know. Even if you're not interested in buying it right now, I know you want to know what's going on that block. So let me know if you want to join me. We'll be meeting there 2 o'clock next Thursday. Look forward to seeing you. It's quick. It opens up right away. They don't have to download information. You know, that's not, the file isn't what we call a dirty file. Security, it goes through all the security passes. And as soon as they open up the email, there you are, and you're talking to them. So again, much better than a text or a call. And then they're seeing you face to face. On the flip to that, same is true with texting. Getting a text video is much better than just getting a regular video. So simply pick up your phone, look in the phone, say, "Hey, it's Lori. Just want to know, let you know I'm thinking about you. I'm taking a couple people on tour in this neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. Love for you to join me. Let me know if you're interested, and I'll send you the details of where we're going to meet." They want to see you. They want to hear you. Want to make that connection. Again, these tours are not because they're in the market. It's just in case something may spur in their mind that maybe it is time to start looking at it, and not necessarily for themselves. So when you're having these family meetings about building a portfolio, and I'll share with you what that portfolio looks like, is I look at downsizing, upsizing, retirement opportunities in Miami, for example. Retirement opportunities, just like college towns, people are coming and going all the time. You're talking about, is grandma thinking of retiring soon? Is grandma going to be moving? How can we be a resource? So you're not just talking about everybody that lives there, but everybody else in their extended family as well. Same is true when you're looking at these properties. You may go to look at condo developments because your clients are thinking about getting a condo somewhere, and you're the person that they're going with, and you're taking them on tour. So they might not have even thought about it until they're actually in that property and they're thinking it would be nice to have a condo in the neighborhood for rental, vacation rental, whatever the case may be, or even for somebody in their family that might need to move into that condo later on. So again, encouraging you to become a personal tour guide for every market, regardless of the price point, regardless of the neighborhood. You can find new listings every day, all day, by getting into the MLS, seeing what's available, and create a tour that you are inviting people to. And like I said, even with commercial brokers, if you see a project that's going up in a neighborhood, reach out to the commercial broker and let them know a year in advance. When you get to the point where you're doing pre-sales, just wanted to introduce myself because I have 5 clients that I can bring to check out your property during your pre-sale times, so that again, you're being proactive about those projects coming down the pipeline, and that commercial agent is thinking about you in terms of being on the resale side as well as the new sale construction side for working together with them. And so the goal, remember, is that you want inbound, but to get the inbound, you're going to have to do some of the work yourself long before it's time to do the transaction, but simply planting the seed and letting it grow and nurturing that seed through the time that there's not transactions happening. And that's when the transformation will start happening, when it's very organic, or not organic, organic, very organic and not forced. And so our hope here is that you are letting people know that you do not have commission breath, and they are recognizing you for the compassionate person that you are personally, and that you are seen as a professional, that you know what's going on in the industry, and that you are prepared to answer questions. And at any time you get stuck, use all the resources you have to say, "I'm going to get back to you because I don't know quite about that neighborhood, but I will find out everything I could possibly find out about the neighborhood and get back to you," so that they're not just calling someone else in the neighborhood. You are the resource, and you can gather all that information and provide it to them at any given time.
I'm so sorry. Thank you for that, Loie. What is the website you said? Bomb Bomb? How do you say
Bomb Bomb.
B-U-M? B-U-M?
Correct. That is correct.
Thank you.
And it's a monthly membership, and then there's other membership. If you just go through your apps on your phone, there's other programs that are like that as well. BombBomb tends to be less expensive, and it doesn't require anybody to download the software, so it is received on anybody on their end. In terms of when they open up the email, you pop up right away. Some of the other apps force you to either download the app, or it has to go through a decoding process. And usually people, they have 2 seconds where they have patience. If they click on it and it's spinning and it doesn't open up right away, they're going to say, I'm not going to bother. But it's nice to just simply open up that email and there you are. And that's true for even saying thank you. After you take people out for showings, just sending them a bomb bomb. Said, I had such a great time today. And I forgot to mention this as well. So I'll take people on showings, and while they're looking at properties, I'll take pictures of them. And I'll look at their expressions. If their kid is playing on the playground or doing something wonderful, looking at the cabinet and they're touching it. And then at closing gift, I create a collage and I send them pictures of the home that they didn't at the time. They might not have said this was a home, but showing them memories of that. And then at their anniversary, I'll say, remember when this was just a thought and now you're living in the home. So I like to catch people off guard by taking pictures of them and not letting them know. And then sometimes I'll say later on the next day, yesterday was a great day. I noticed that you loved this home and you were looking at whatever the chandelier or what have you. Here's a picture of you looking at the chandelier. People love it. And sometimes your phone, depending on what phone you have, whether it's through Google, iPhone, or Android, they'll send you memories. And so I'll randomly get a memory of my clients looking at something, particularly with newlyweds or couples. You'll see them holding hand or something, and I'll show them holding hands in front of the house. And a year from now, it'll show up. And by this time, they may be married or whatever the case may be, or they have a baby. And I'll say, can you believe it's already been a year since we were looking at that house? And I'll show them the picture of themselves. And your phone makes it easy for you because you can't keep that all in your head, but the phone will send you these memories. And so I've been doing this for a couple of years where I'll send out these memories later. And again, it's just top of mind. They're out of nowhere. It could be March of next year, and there's get this picture from you saying, remember when we looked at houses last March? And it's a picture of them. And usually people have a good laugh out of it. And depending on the picture, then I frame it for them and send it to them. And you can get a frame for $2 at Target or Walmart or something, but you just frame a memory of the time that you spent together. But if you have any questions or are looking for more ideas to just be unique and different to create income in incognito is what I say it, so that it's not so obvious, I'm more than glad to share that with you. And again, I'll send information to Kevin that actually breaks down some of these ideas for you, so that when you're just thinking about how can I make revenue today if I'm not selling something, and those ideas will just give you more creativity to work with your clients closer.
I am so sorry, Lori, but I had your information. The link was shared into a chat that we are in as a real estate agent, like all of us. And I didn't get I guess, the original format for me to get I'm not sure if I would get the link like with all your informations. So I was wondering, because I know when I sign up for the Zoom, it asked me for my name and my email and my phone number. So would I still be able to get those information even though I didn't get the original?
I'm default to Kevin. If not, I'll just share here now in the chat. I'm going to try to type it at the same time.
Thank you.
Kevin, can you answer that question? Because I'm not sure how the registration went.
Sorry, I was working on it for a few other things. What was the question?
Contact information. I'm going to put my information in the chat here, but Stephanie, will you repeat what you were saying about the registration?
Right. So I know so I got the link from a WhatsApp chat, right? So I click on it and then it automatically sent me to the Zoom. But before I was able to get in, it asked me for my name, my number, and my email. So I wasn't able to get the information okay.
So ultimately, anybody who registered for this class will be sent recording. The very first slide of the recording of Lori's face, her email, and a way to connect. She first connect through LinkedIn. So either of those two options will be the way to reach out to her. And if you want to write this down, Lori with an I, LORRI at LoriPace.com. That's right.
Yeah, drop it in the chat. Thank you, Lori. Thank you so much.
No problem. and hopefully I'll get a chance to work with each of you. And I'm in the process of relaunching a whole bunch of programs, and so I'll keep in touch with you and let you know what different programs are out there. But Kevin, thank you for the opportunity for me to be in Miami today. I wish I really was, but
just let us know. Give us some advance warning. Let me think you're coming down, and maybe we can do this in person next time.
I would love to do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in today. Send you the recording next week. And if you have questions, reach out to Lori Lori at loripace.com. And also she prefers to connect through LORI space PACE is the best way to get a hold of her. And we'll send you all the information next week. And our next class is coming up 1 week from today at 1. It'll be all about CMAs. So if you need some help, this will be the perfect class for you. And if you haven't noticed a lot of price reductions and everything else, this class will certainly help you avoid that situation with your sellers if you have the opportunity to list a home. So we hope you tune in next week with our CIS. And Lori, thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate you. And we hope that you teach for us again sometime.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure. Hope I'll see you all in Miami soon.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm going to be on my laptop.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I have a full purse.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm eating before I leave.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm sneaking out for showing.
We're YPN leaders.
Of course we're going to be creating content.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm signing up for classes.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm Cafecito obsessed.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm going to crash the next happy hour.
If I'm on my way home, yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. If I'm on my way home, yeah. If I'm on my way home, yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me.